This week's YouTube recording elegizes 3 trans women who were murdered at the beginning of July in 2020. Shaki Peters, 32, Amite City, Louisiana, July 1st. She was full of laughter and an abundance of life. Shaki, there's a plant that grows here where I live called shadbush. It's also known as surfaceberry, but it's the genus I thought of yesterday, seeking shade on the hillside, carrying you with me in the heat of day. How it gives shade, gives fruit, dark purple, seeded and nourishing. Your face, Shaki, in the one photo I can find, is round and open, dark and sweet. Your eyes seem to tip up a bit at the outer corners. Your lips are full, plush as pillows. I keep waiting for some story to explain your murder. I don't know how much that matters in the long run, but it might fill the gap around your death. I keep thinking about the name Amite City, from the French for friendship, like my hometown, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. Likewise, no friend to trans women. I spent a month in Louisiana in 1984. It was hot and humid, and I loved the way sweat soaked me, sticking clothes to skin. I used to move from shade to shade, the shadows of buildings, banana trees, and one very large fig tree in the yard of the house I rented, hand-shaped leaves the size of fans. In 1984, Shaki, you weren't even born yet. It was a heyday for being queer if you don't count AIDS. We were all trying on gender like a wig or a dress or suit and tie. I used to go to a drag bar in Philly where I had a crush on a Zoftig redhead I now know to have been trans. She was very kind to me, taking my face in her soft hands, fragrant and styled like the mother of a childhood friend I had to share a bed with one weekend. I clung all night to the far edge in fear that I would accidentally touch her. There was a ripeness in her, sweet, nourishing, a kind of femme that makes my heart ache, that I've never known or been. There are many kinds of shadow, Shaki, many kinds of shade. I think of you now, inhabiting that. Luscious, lush, safe. Bree Black, 27, Pompano Beach, Florida, July 3rd. The average life expectancy of a Black trans woman is 35 years. Like everyone, what she wanted from life was independence. Just the usual American dream with its varied and fixed rewards, health, the safety to travel, to walk without fear on the street. And at the end of the day, when it was time to sleep, silence. She wanted to live and be recognized in the world as a woman who could keep a job, enjoy her life, and have her own crowd. That weekend, on her own block, close to home, in the crowd, was someone who shot her and ended her hard-won independence. No one can say if she was shot because she was a trans woman. The sheriff's department increased its initial offer of a reward in hopes that someone will want the money enough to break silence about what they saw and who killed Bree by gunshot in the street. Even after 10 o'clock, it's brazen to shoot someone in the street in the midst of a large and rowdy holiday weekend crowd. Someone must have heard the shot, even if it was far from silent, being a loud holiday, fireworks and music to celebrate Independence Day. But keeping silent about witnessing a killing has its rewards, regardless of who did the shooting, and that the victim was a trans woman. American independence didn't change life for American women, or most men. Black people were expected to step into the street if they met a white person. If they didn't, they reaped a violent reward, public humiliation at least, or flogging before an angry crowd. No, it was a long time before many got what you could call independence, the freedom to learn, work, vote, marry whom they loved, and break silence about the many and unsubtle ways this country continued to try to silence them. Jim Crow and the marriage laws that essentially treated all women as property. Don't forget the ladies. So much for American independence. Still, many feel patriotism, or at least the desire to celebrate in the streets, gather together to barbecue, parade, drink beer, and in Florida, crowd the beaches. Then, once it's dark, a fireworks display is their just reward. Bree went out, close to home, to be part of the action, to celebrate, and her reward, American taxpayer, employee, her parents' child, was to be forever silenced there, shot by an unseen killer who disappeared into the holiday crowd. 27 years old, she was the 10th Black and 19th trans woman killed in the first 7 months of the year, shot and left dead in the street. You have to wonder what there is to celebrate when there's so little independence. The world offers very little in the way of rewards, even safety, for trans women, undervalued and silenced, often by those they know, on their own streets. The trans dead form their own crowd to demand for the living independence. Summer Taylor, 24, Seattle, Washington, July 4th. They were always the first one to call people out for being sexist, racist, standing up for queer and trans people. They were the one that was so vocal. Dancing the Cupid Shuffle, wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, protective gloves, a mask around their chin, Summer Taylor, activist, sibling, child, animal lover, killed by a car driven the wrong way up a closed ramp into the crowd. Summer, white, non-binary Seattleite, had all the privilege of race, love, family support, college, meaningful work, and strength of conviction fed on these nutrients. They stopped to dance on their way to City Hall at 5:30 in the morning, another night-long protest, the Black Femme March, festive, a celebration, the interstate closed, a space created for them to stand together. The day before, Diaz Love, injured in the crash, posted on Facebook, "The death threats from hate groups is real this weekend." Love, recovering, in pain, the threats keep coming, writes, "If they thought this murder would make us back down, they are wrong." Summer, the last death in the first half of 2020, stands in stark relief for what they stood for. Black trans femme sisters, trans brothers, femme dykes and gay boys, white, black, brown. The rainbow of gender no car can mow down.